Hello, I'm Sean Marco Forster and welcome to Vox Animalis, the show that takes a look at the relationship between humans and animals. In our last show, we dealt with issues surrounding the baboons of the Cape. In this episode, the tenuous relationship between humans and great white sharks is investigated by our crew, who traveled all the way to the shores of Fishhook and Muizenberg to get the perspective of people living with these creatures on their doorstep. Please enjoy Shark People.
Regarded by scientists as the first and second top predators in the world, great white sharks and humans have always had a love-hate relationship. While films and television have portrayed the great white sharks as cold-blooded killers, some say that they are in fact just the opposite.
They're actually a very timid creature. There's no doctor, if they get hurt, there's no doctor they can run to. So if they lose an eye, they'll never catch a seal again.
Andre Hartman first encountered a great white shark while spearfishing, and a natural fear for the sharks slowly turned a natural passion, earning him the nickname the Shark Man.
Early morning, or in bad viz, or late afternoon, those three factors play a role. They hunt at that moment, and they're hunting seals. So what they do is they swim on the bottom, they look up, and if they see something moving on the surface, and they can't make out what it is, they hit it first and ask questions later. And that's when sometimes people get attacked. When you get in the water, you don't know what he's going to do. I like to read them and think, okay, this guy's all right, you can dive with this guy, don't dive with that guy. And most of them I've ever dived with is very relaxed around us. But what makes us safe to dive, to free dive with them, is the fact that you put chum in the water, and they react, they realize something dead in the water, they think it's the boat, and you get in the water and they treat you as if you're one of them, trying to find another shark wants to eat it. So they're not in a hunting mode, so they look at you as, hey, this is a funny looking white shark, I've never seen one. But their behavior to you is the same as to each other.
However, in unintentional shark encounters, people generally at risk are the surfers, with their seal-shaped silhouettes and time spent in the water. But this doesn't seem to stop many surfers, like Keenan Ferguson, from indulging in their luck with the ocean.
Oh, I love the ocean. It's just an escape for me, really. The ocean is such a place, you go and paddle out and your mind is clear of all thoughts. You're never really thinking of your troubles, if you have any, or whatever. It's like a meditation out there when you're surfing.
Have you ever found yourself too scared to go surfing?
I'm never ever scared of going surfing at all. It's just not something that I think about, really.
As true as this is, there are still unfortunately casualties, such as Tanya Webb and Lloyd Skinner. A huge great white attacked Webb in November 2004. All that was found was a red bathing cap. Skinner was killed in the water of the same Fishhook beach in January this year. Only his swimming goggles were found.
Whatever happens to me there, it happens to me because I'm in his territory. And I suppose it will happen one day anyway. But
Ernie DeRoche has been a commercial fisherman in the water around Fishhook for 20 years. Being a shark fisherman in part, he certainly has his own opinions about the sharks.
if he was a human being eater, why does he come to Fishhook when he's got Manandi and all that places up top there? I mean, people are swimming there day in, day out by the thousands. In some they're by the millions. I mean, Muizenberg Beach. I mean, he's got a la carte. I mean, he's got a menu there. I mean, he can go through everything there with what he wants.
The sharks that you're allowed to catch, what are the use for them? To eat? To
Human consumption. It's mostly for export. Okay. But then, of course, now, let's see, we're getting into trouble now again. They box it also as I won't give the names of the fish, but they box it also as fish. Okay. So you're actually getting shark. Now in the restaurants, they're serving shark instead of what you order.
But they catch all the other sharks. Now, for instance, soupfin shark, we call soupfin shark, or farley. In England, you get the same shark called taupe, and they make fish and chips out of it.
As disturbing as this is, a greater threat to the great whites are shark nets, which in themselves spark a lively debate between ecologists and safety-concerned swimmers.
Shark nets, I think, kill a lot of sharks. It's actually put out there to kill the bull sharks, because bull sharks is a shark that was mostly blamed for most attacks up in Durban way.
I think in populated beaches where there's a lot of people swimming around, maybe they could do good, but personally I don't really, I've never experienced shark nets. I've never surfed in waters where there are shark nets.
Why do you want the shark nets? To protect one person or two people that get killed and get bitten in 4 years, And in 4 years, 2 people get bitten, but people are getting killed and everything, and, and nobody worries about the amount of people getting killed. And they get bail and they come out, so why is everybody after the shark?
Sarah Titley is the project manager of the Shark Spotters, a non-profit organisation which operates on a human early warning system from Muizenberg to other beaches in the area.
In 2005, the city of Cape Town did a review to see if it would be possible to put shark nets up. And they found that with the stormy waters that we have here, the nets would be constantly breaking, it wouldn't be possible. Also, we have the southern right whales that come so close to shore. If we put up shark nets, we'd be catching southern right whales like you wouldn't believe. It would be a huge thing. But also there are other things that we have. You know, shark spotters, you can't replicate that everywhere because you need to have an elevated position right above the sea like we have here with the mountains. But definitely for this area it works, and it works well. Because we have a shark spotter that sits on the mountain, but there's also a shark spotter that sits on the beach, and they're in radio contact with each other and with all the other beaches where the shark spotters work. So the spotter on the mountain uses polarized sunglasses and binoculars, and they scan the ocean for sharks, and then if they see something, then they radio down to the beach and they let the beach know. A siren is then set off and the flags are changed, and the beach spotter calls the people out of the water and lets them know that there's a shark in the area, whereabouts it is, how far away and stuff. We have 14 permanent spotters, and during summer we have about 20 spotters.
Wow, okay. And tell me, in the late 1950s, the South African Navy dropped death charges into the waters and they tried to deal with the shark problem. How do you think our intelligence of dealing with the sharks what has that affected and increased?
Yeah, I think we definitely have a much more ecological way of looking at things now. We know that sharks are apex predators, they're very important in the ecosystem in the oceans. And so we know that getting rid of them completely is not the answer, we just need to manage things better.
Yeah, I think they do a good job. They've got a good system there, and they have seen a few sharks, especially in the False Bay, and they've warned people to get out the water.
No, I would say yes, it helps out a lot, you know, to protect the shark, because I mean he's always getting the blame for everything. So I mean at least they can come out the water in case. But I mean, before shark spotters were there, how many sharks were swimming amongst the people that didn't touch the people?
But being human, the shark spotter system is fallible, as proved by the death of Lloyd Skinner. After the death of Lloyd Skinner, what were the effects on that?
Well, when it first happened, obviously there was nobody on the beach. Everybody, you know, it's a really tragic event, but it is very rare. But it has such a huge impact on people. People don't want to go back to the beach straight away. But there's, you know, especially on Muizenberg Beach, there's businesses here, people come back, people love to surf, you can't get them out of the water.
So how does the public feel about the sharks, the spotters, and the possibility of nets?
One must always be careful. I mean, people forget that that's their home, not ours. That's our playground. And if someone came into your home and used your home as a playground, you might get a bit upset yourself, you know what I mean?
I think if the flag's red, I stay out of the water. If the flag's white with a shark on, I stay out of the water. Otherwise, I swim and I make sure there's someone in front of me. But no, I don't think they should kill the sharks. Shark nets might be a cool idea, but I don't know what the impact is.
It's quite safe in Durban because they put fence around the beach so that sharks they can't attack people, you see.
So, do you think that should happen here in Cape Town?
Yeah, it must be like that. So
maybe tagging them and keeping tabs on them, but maybe not killing them.
Can't blame the shark spotters. I mean, that's crazy. That's absurd. I mean, you're asking for perfection then? In an imperfect situation? I don't think so.
It could be one of our problems that we've had so many attacks lately with chumming and that sort of thing. Might be attracting the sharks where they weren't, you know, we didn't have a shark attack for many, many years in False Bay.
Look, I'm very against the shark nets. I do believe that there are other ways that could be used, electric, you know, magnetic barriers that could be put up. It has been researched, but I don't agree with the nets at all, because it's not only the sharks that get caught in those nets. It is also dolphins and turtles.
Kim McLean started Shark Age diving in 1992 and runs her shark tours in Shark Alley, Gansbaai. Her dedication and passion has earned her the nickname, the Shark Lady.
Well, basically, I started the cage diving in South Africa in 1992. I'd worked in some research circles helping with tagging, and so I was really around the animals. And, you know, out at sea, you see their beauty. Back on land, people just, you know, have their own connotations of what a great white is.
And tell me, what can you tell us a bit more about Shark Alley?
Well, Shark Alley is it's an alley. It's a channel that runs through between the two islands. One is Dye Island, which houses the penguins, and on the other island, Giza Rock, is where all the seals live. So,
And what are your views on chumming?
we don't feed them. We try our best. Sometimes in bad viz, they get the better of us with the bait, but we are not there to change great white sharks. We're there to respect them.
It has always been suggested that chumming of the water by shark fishermen and shark cage diving companies is one of the factors which lead to great white shark attacks. And what is your view on chumming?
Chumming just brings the shark to the boat, if you know what I'm saying. Doesn't matter what you chum with. If you have some smell that they like, if you go in the area where they will come to the boat. Say, for instance, they are in the surf, and you're chumming to the surf, you'll pull them out of the surf to your boat, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But we're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, so you don't think it's the chumming or the fishermen like...
No, I mean, I jump for fish and everything. I don't see him coming even close to me. I mean, then now all of a sudden he just appears docile and he comes there around here and whatever the
And you don't think that's the reason why the sharks, the great whites, have come into the bay?
For the seals.
For the seals.
To help the fishermen out and eat more seals. And so the more seals they eat, the more fish I can catch, and they don't bother me around, you see. So they're doing a good job, and they must breed more. But of course, they also there's a very big price on their jaws, you see. It's a hell of a big price, about $20,000.
Chumming, it has over the years had its controversy around it, but basically that was controversy that was, sort of put out there by people that don't actually know what we were doing.
Huge misconception about chumming and about what we do. So we're not going out there and feeding white sharks on a daily basis. Number one, the sharks that we see every single day, more than 95% of them are new sharks in the area. So the chance of most of these sharks actually have seen a boat and a cage or divers before is practically 1%.
Lance Kitsia is the resident dive master at Shark Lady Cage Diving, and he thinks saving the sharks is part of saving ourselves.
Kids are very important. The kids are the future generations, and they are the people that should be educated on sharks properly, because most grown-ups, by the time they've reached the age of 30, have already made up their mind, what they want to believe and what they want to perceive as being right or wrong.
Nets and long-line fishing are great threats to the sharks, and because of their nomadic existence, it makes it difficult to keep track of them.
Long lining is horrific, and we often wonder, how many sharks we are working with. Are they ever going to come back to our area?
And tell me, why is there so much mystery around the great white breeding habits?
Well, there's mystery behind it because we don't know. It's never ever been filmed. We don't really know where they breed. We have suspicions that maybe they are breeding in our area down by the shoreline where they move across in summer.
With their mysterious breeding habits and long migrations, it is difficult to estimate the exact amount of sharks that are left. The Shark Man believes that there are more than we think.
And around about 1976, more and more sharks started arriving near the coast, white sharks. It's really picked up from then. Like the most I've seen in a day is 30 by my boat in 5 hours. So 30 sharks in 5. Nowadays the guys are getting 25, 24 sharks in 2 hours. So what does it tell you? That tells you there's a lot more. Go to Mossel Bay, we fly with a helicopter over Grootbrak area, and we count 63 sharks in a 2-mile stretch of beach. What they're doing there, but they're all young ones.
During summer, we can see up to 5, 6. I think the most we've ever seen is 12 sharks a day. Okay. During winter, we haven't seen a shark for the last 3 months, so we tend not to see them during winter. At that time, they're at Seal Island, and where they feed on the seal pups. But during summertime, we see them very often.
So the future might be looking up for these magnificent creatures. However, education for the young and extensive monitoring can help us learn more, and ultimately better help them.
They can be monitored. They must be tagged to monitor them, just to see the behavior and to help the scientist out. But the scientist actually he doesn't live with the stuff, so he can only surmise.
It is said that without experiencing, one cannot fully understand it. That being said, Kim's crew has taken me out beneath the waves with these giants to see them for myself.
The sharks are patrolling the area surrounding this island, and to attract the sharks to our boat, we need to bait or chum the water. Firstly, baiting or chumming. This is a huge misconception because people perceive that we're coming out here to feed the sharks, which we are not. The chum is just a smell attraction. Now, shark cage diving is not causing shark attacks for the simple reason that these sharks that we are seeing are not residents in these areas. They are nomadic. So every single day the numbers and individuals will change, even though we do recognize some of them over a period of time. But because there's no reward, there's no life-changing experience here.
Okay, wow, we're in the water right now. It's really cool, cold, freezing, and I look gorgeous. Huh.
Underwater, one really begins to understand that these animals are just that, animals. They are not evil nor vicious and need to be protected for the generations to follow.
Sharks are worth conserving because not just for me or for you, but also for our kids one day to actually be able to survive on this planet.
Quite frankly, as somebody once said, you've got more chance of dying walking to the beach than you actually have in the sea.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. With us in studio, we have Stacey Valentine, our field reporter, who you will recognize from the insert that you've just seen. So, Stacey, it looks like shark people, Andre and Kim, are really living up to their titles. What were your impressions of them and the type of work that they were doing?
Really good, actually. Kim started shark cage diving in 1992. Okay. So, you know, we went out on her boat, which was a really great experience. And Andrew is a really good guy as well. He comes across a little bit crazy, but awesome and creative, and yeah.
All right. And who will you be interviewing on the show today?
We'll be interviewing Keenan Ferguson, who's a surfer and as well a diver. Right. We're also going to be interviewing Cheryl Samantha Owen, who's a marine biologist, author, photographer, and also the conservationist for Save Our Seas.
Sure. Sounds interesting. All right, after the break, Stacey will be interviewing our guest. Don't go away.
Welcome, guys. Keenan, Cheryl. Tell me, Keenan, tell us more about what you do.
At the moment, I'm currently studying, but I do a bit of surfing in my free time. Yeah, a little bit of listening to music here and there, and
some diving.
And some diving, yeah, scuba diving. I used to do a lot of scuba diving, not so much anymore because studies, taken up most of my time.
Okay.
But I'm looking to get back into it when I'm finished.
Okay. And Cheryl, tell me, you're a marine biologist, a author, and a photographer. And you're also the voice for Save Our Seas, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Can you tell us a bit more about the Save Our Seas Foundation?
Okay, well, Save Our Seas Foundation is an international NGO. It started from very humble beginnings in 2002 with just one project on silky sharks in the Red Sea. Okay. And from there we spread to about 150 projects in 45 countries around the world. And we mainly focus on shark and ray conservation, but with the conservation we've got research, education and awareness.
Wow. And tell me, what are the measures that are currently taken to protect the great whites?
Okay, well, South Africa was actually the first country in the world to protect great whites. And this came after a storm of feeding frenzy of media, public and outrage after the Jaws series was produced. We've had a sort of tumbling of bad perceptions on Jaws. Sharks, they've always been made out to be the Jaws. And white sharks really suffered because everyone thought of sharks as a white shark, whereas actually there are over 500 different species of sharks. So the white shark was protected in South Africa in 1991, and you're not allowed to fish white sharks here. But unfortunately, they're still endangered around the world, and not everywhere protects them.
Okay. And Keenan, would you say, do surfers, do they do any other kind of marine conservation?
I know of a few, yes. A few friends of mine that surf, they're involved, they're actually studying marine biology at UCT, and they get involved with a few cleanup projects and awareness campaigns and things like that, So there are a few people that are putting back, as what they get out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell me, do you want to say something?
I started surfing last year, so.
Oh wow! And how you find
I'm
that?
still a beginner. Musenberg is my space.
Nice.
Riding the foamies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see if I'll get there someday, maybe. Tell me, we spoke to a fisherman earlier, and he told us about that. Great whites are they play a great role in balancing the seals. And a lot of them find that the seals are quite a nuisance and they want to protect the great whites. How do you feel about this? If, you know, who is the primary threat then?
Well, great white sharks, like all shark species, play a vital role in the marine ecosystem because they're apex predators. They are the lions and tigers of the sea. So like a savanna, we need the sort of top predators there to maintain and regulate everything underneath them. And in False Bay, we're actually extremely lucky to have the white shark population that we have there, because it's the only place in the world that they predate on seals in the numbers and intensity that they do around Seal Island in False Bay. And yeah, you know, we really need to protect white sharks so they do maintain the balance. We don't know what will happen if we wipe out all the white sharks. We've found on coral reefs in particular, when we've taken out all the shark species and all the top predators, the whole coral gets smothered in algae because the whole system's upside down. So really we're on a very fast journey in discovering what would actually happen, but they're definitely vital in the system and we do need to protect them. And they do also eat fish. In summer season they come inshore, and I know fishermen sometimes blame sharks as well for taking their fish all across the world, but really that's how the system's meant to be, and that we would find out that if we actually took them out of the system, that perhaps their fish stocks would collapse due to the whole ecological balance being upside down.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on shark cage diving, and does it, in your opinion, hurt the sharks in any way?
Okay, well, there's many different sides to this argument, and this is one of the first things people ask me when they find out what I do. Save Our Seas Foundation and myself, we're very much for white shark cage diving. In a perfect world, where everything is in balance, perhaps it wouldn't be necessary, though I would feel very selfish because I get to spend time out there looking at white sharks, and I just think, wow, it would be very selfish for me to not share it with anyone else. But basically, one of the main factors with the cage diving is it helps shatter the myth of white sharks as these man-eating monsters. When people first see a white shark, whether it be from the boat or whether they just see them underwater, even if it's just a glimpse, you realize how beautiful they are, how elegant, and the power in which they swim. They suddenly become these graceful, amazing marine creatures.
No, I agree with you. Wow, we had the same experience when we were there.
Brilliant.
You know, coming from Fishhook, and you have these stories, and you see them, and they're just beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. So it's really important in changing the perception of people. They just making that connection and taking it away from the horror films that we see on TV, which continue to be produced.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And the second is we've done studies that have been scientifically reviewed and peer-reviewed by other scientists on the effects of white shark cage diving. And really, the white shark cage diving does not lead to increased shark attacks. It's not a... you can't link the two of them. Shark bites have increased, but they've increased with more people in the water, more surfers. It's a really popular sport now, whereas before it was just a very minority would be surfing. And so and if you look at where they chum around the Seal Islands, like in Hans Bay, same as in False Bay. The chum there is from the seals. So the sharks actually coming in for the seals. They're there anyway, that's what they're there for. And you were asking about if it hurts white sharks. They're definitely, I would say, they're good operators and they're bad operators. And you have to, the way that I say to people, if you can sort of see if they're good or bad, is to look on their website and see if the website is making it adrenaline and very, very adrenaline type, or if it's trying to conserve them.
Wow, well, thank you very much for taking time out to come and speak to us. We'd like to encourage our viewers to get involved in whatever way they can to assist in the campaign to protect our great white sharks. So please visit www.whiteshark.co.za or www.saveourseas.com for more information. Good day.
The great white sharks of the Cape are an important part of our aquatic ecosystem and has the right to coexist with other species. The shark conservationists that we've seen and spoken to are only a small number of the people that are doing their best to protect the future of these perfectly evolved predators. It is the responsibility of humans to ensure that our economic endeavors do not further endanger them or any other animal. Until next time, take care.